Hey everyone, I'm Michael Seiger, publisher of DomainSherpa.com, and this is the Domain Sherpa Review. This is the show where we get into the minds of successful domain name investors, people we call Sherpas, and talk about the value of specific domain names. By listening to the Sherpas, we expand our thought process so that we can become more successful investors ourselves. As with any information on Domain Sherpa, the purpose of the show is general information. It's not personal financial advice. You can lose money investing in domain names. Our sponsors are David Westlow, an attorney specializing in domain name and IP law, nichewebsites.com, a service that builds and ranks websites so you can focus on your business, and Estabot.com, a domain name appraisal and productivity tool set. All three sponsors are in the upper right-hand corner of all pages on Domain Sherpa. All right, joining us today on the Domain Sherpa Review are four past Sherpas and thought leaders in the industry. In the order from left to right on our screen, we have Adam Dicker, CEO of dnforum.com, nichewebsites.com, domain consulting group, and publisher of theartofthename.com. Next up, Michael Berkens, publisher of thedomains.com, co-founder of Right of the Dot, a GTLD consulting group, and founder of the worldwide media and mostwanteddomains.com. To my right is Paige Howe, president of joedomains.com and host of other marketplaces, and the winner of the Newt Gingrich lookalike contest.
That was the pre-show.
All right. And finally, on the right, Rick Schwartz, the domain king and founder of the Traffic Domain Industry Conference. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Hello, Michael.
Hey, Paige.
Hey, guys.
All right. So before we get into this, you can click on any of the Sherpas pictures below this video and watch one or more of the Domain Sherpa interviews from these Sherpas that they've contributed back to the show. And in some cases, we have one show, but in many cases, we have, in the case of all four of these Sherpas, we've got more than one because they've all been on to do a in-depth interview. Plus, we have last week's Domain Sherpa review. Today, we are definitely going to be 30 minutes or less. I've got my stopwatch out. I'm going to start it right now. And every show is going to be a little bit different. Today's will be broken into three sections, and we're going to move quickly. The first section is going to be 2 submitted domain name portfolios from real investors, and we're going to provide honest and constructive feedback to the owner. Section 2, we're going to look at some of the pending deletes and what you guys like and dislike. And the final section will be our lightning round, where I fire questions at the Sherpas until we run out of time. I don't want people to think that the show allows Sherpas to pump up a domain name for sale, so I'm going to start with a question that I did last week. Sherpas, you've seen the lists in advance. Will you financially benefit from discussing any of the domain names that we're going to go over today? And if so, which ones?
Nope.
Rick, no. Paige, no. Mike?
Unfortunately not.
Adam, you have any domains listed for sale on the list today?
No.
All right. So we're going to enter to the first section. It's the domain portfolio review. This is where we take user-submitted domain name portfolios, up to 50 domain names, and we provide honest and constructive feedback to the owner, who is a real person with real feelings trying to make a smart investment. And I say that over and over again just so we realize that this isn't just a submitted list. We're actually doing something cool here. Here's the list that was submitted by Mike Wealth at least a week ago. And you can look at the entire list below. The domain portfolio starts. Now I'm ordering them. Cassie provided some good input. I'm ordering them in alphabetical order. The domain portfolio starts with 14079.com and includes some 4-letter .coms like NVAG and OFDK.com, as well as a generic 2-word like ERPspecialist.com. So let's start with Adam on the far left. Which domains do you like, Adam, from the list?
Well, I have to be honest with this list. I don't think I'm going to make a lot of friends. You said the gentleman's name was Michael. Is that what you said it was?
It's Mike. Yep.
Okay, well, Mike, I have to be honest with you. Based on this list, the only way you're going to get wealth is from your last name. I couldn't find anything that was on the list that I actually liked, so I have to steal a phrase from Rick and say, unfortunately, it's mostly pigeon shit.
All right. So.
That's the honest answer.
All right. How about you, Mike? Mike Berkens, what do you think?
I mean, I think any of the 4-letter .coms are worth holding on to. Mm-hmm. We've seen, them sell. I think DU.com sold for $1 million. I get, frequent offers on 4-letter .coms. they're certainly worth renewing, and because there's a lot of matching organizations and companies, some are obviously with different letters, you have a better chance of selling them than others. But I would keep all of the 4-letter.coms. I do think they have value. Same for really the 5-number.coms at this point. The Asian market has really picked up on them. I have about 100 of them that I registered as zip codes, but they didn't get any traction as zip codes. But they are gaining traction quite frequently from the Asian market. So I would hold on to that one. And just one other name, this Insure with a Z at the end of it. I don't know. I think it's it's a potential brandable kind of name.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't like anything else on the list.
All right. Paige, what do you think?
So, it's a list. I think most of the names, when I used to do the stock business, every name would have a bid and an ask. And I think he can obviously ask 1 to 10,000 for these names. And if someone wakes up in the morning and says, I've got to be InsureZ or Post IP or Sectro or EU Dairy or something, he could have a sale, and we could see him showing up on the list of the Say-Do list last week. But in terms of a bid value, what could he go into a domain conference with, put down his list and say, hey, can I get 5, 10, 20, 50 bucks? I think it is just the 4 letters. INVSYS, Invensis, InvestSys, Invincid, GeneUp maybe has some brandable quality, so I'd probably renew it. I did like the InsureZ. ERP Specialist, I think, was the only name with some generic value. So I think it's kind of like the difference between a resale store for clothing and maybe an antique store and a yard sale. And I think this one is more of a yard sale than maybe a kind of a vintage retro antique store. Really fine names. But on the other hand, hey, if the traffic's there, if he's making reg fee on them, then he should definitely keep them. But I think it's mostly hopers, but hopers can come through. So there's my take.
All right. And Rick, what's your take on this?
Well, like I stated last week, and I'll repeat, and just so I don't get in trouble, without talking to the domain owner, you don't know what's in his mind, so he may have seen something that we may have missed, some new technology, something that came out. But other than that, it's a tough list. I mean, the only one that I saw that was anything was the 14079, and I thought maybe that's a zip code, and I don't even think it's a zip code, because when I did a Google search, I got some other crap that came up. So I unfortunately, Mike, sorry, I don't see much value in this list, and
yeah,
good luck.
All right, we just lost Adam. I've re-invited him back.
Come back, Adam, come back.
Where are you, Adam?
It wasn't that bad.
Is it something we said?
It's probably the Newt Gingrich thing that scared him away.
All right, while we're waiting for Adam to sort out his technical difficulties, I want to ask you questions on the value of this. Paige, you brought up the fact that if these domains are making reg fee, keep them. So that means to somebody that's uninitiated, you park the domain names at one of the many parking companies like internettraffic.com or CEDO or any of those. And if people visiting the page can actually click on links and you make money off that, enough to pay for your reg fees of $8 or $10 or $15, whatever you're paying per year, you say keep it because it's covering its cost.
Yeah, I mean, the internal rate of return on an asset with no cost is infinity. You're paying $8 a year and you're making $15 a year. Now, the problem is you're going to know that you made $15 last year, and that's not going to be a guarantee that you're going to make the $15 this year. And even though I'm talking about $8 and $15, I think a lot of guys are applying this to 100 and 500 and 1,000 names. So there's no guarantee that you're going to make it next year just because you made it this year. At the same point, a domain name's a special asset. And if there's no cost to wait for a home run to come from the sky, there's not too many other places where you can do that. And on these names where there isn't a real opportunity cost, like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting on a $10,000 asset, I've got to do something with it. Really the asset in these is he's got 365 days every year to wait for someone to fall in love with that name. And and if he's earning that in traffic, people love to use the win-win scenario, but that is a win-win.
Yeah. Okay. Let me need back in. Okay. Just taking a look, trying to get Adam back in here. Let me try and add him one more time.
I think Michael just hammered him. He had some bot out there, and when he said something negative, he shut down.
Meanwhile, Paige is starting to look more like Coach Madden. You know what I mean?
All right, Mike Berkens, you said you like the 4 letters. You'd keep those right off the bat. Paige, you said anything that's making reg fees, you'd keep. Rick, you said, we don't know why you bought these. There could be some phenomenal ERP, enterprise resource planning system going, and ERP-ism or ERP-SM could be some acronym for, something great to come in the future that we don't know of. So clearly there could be special reasons, special causes to keep them. If the domains aren't 4 letters, if you don't have a special reason to think that they're going to blow up, become big in the future, if it's not, the number, and if it's not making reg fee, would you guys personally, if you own this portfolio, would you personally drop them? Rick's nodding yes.
I would.
Mike would?
I would upgrade. I would look at what's available on the drop, and even if I had, say, 6 or 7 years of renewals in this name, and say I have $50 or $60 in it, if what I can buy on the drop or in a marketplace is better than this name, and I'm going to spend the same $8 to keep it, I'm going to upgrade. But that still doesn't mean that. But that's what I would do. I would upgrade. I would try to upgrade.
Okay.
I mean, if you just take a $10 renewal fee, I mean, it's $500 a year to renew this portfolio. So in 5 years, I mean, it's a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
If you haven't moved one of these names. So, again, I think other than the 4 letters and the 5 number names, the other ones you're going to have to get very lucky on.
Okay, I'm going to pause you guys for just one. We're back, gentlemen. I have a question regarding trademarks. Do you notice if there's any legal issues associated with Mike Wells' portfolio here that we should bring up?
Possibly the one that's NID FA could be like a NIDVIA. It's fairly close. I mean, but when I saw that pops out at me.
Okay.
I think he's going out of his way to buy brandable words that don't have trouble, which is what you want to do.
Good. All right. And the last question that I want to ask any of you guys is, do you like any of these names enough to make an offer on them?
Nope.
No.
All right. There you go, Mike. We're moving on to portfolio number 2. Our second portfolio was submitted by Arvind Reddy, and it starts with the domain portfolio beginning with 000.net and includes domain names like internetmeme.com, bedroommakeover.com, and mysiterank.com. Let's do reverse order from right to left. Rick Schwartz, which domain names do you like and which ones do you think are valuable?
Well, I went to print it out, and unfortunately it only printed out 1 page, so I'm have to look at it through my browser. But this obviously is a portfolio that has some domains that have value. I thought I saw one like Wi-Fi Nanny or something like that.
Wi-Fi.
Baby monitor.
Wi-Fi babymonitor.com.
Yeah, that's right. At least it's something. It's look, it's not overly impressive. Let me start there, but it isn't. It's a higher quality list than the first portfolio, which just didn't have anything. This one has at least your domain name. It's kind of long, but it means something. I kind of like Jiffy Loans, though that could be a trademark. But if it isn't, that would be a very good domain name, very brandable. That may be the best one on the whole list, if you ask me. Football Playoff is good. It has a couple of them. I mean, Feet Sucker, I guess if it's
if you're into that sort of thing.
It reminds me of that the insurance commercial with Progressive with all the leech suckers. Anyway, it's not overly impressive, but there are a couple of decent domains, and Jiffy Loans, I think, is if it's not a trademark problem, it's I think a great brandable domain name.
All right. Would let me ask you, Rick, before we move on to Paige, would you take any of these domain names into the traffic auction for which you're seeking domains by tomorrow, Friday?
I would take Jiffy Loans in there, absolutely. Again, if it's not a trademark infringement.
If it's not a trademark, and I want to ask you more about the traffic at the end of the conference around who sets the price. Is that you? Is that the seller? We'll get to that. Paige Howe, what do you think about this list? Portfolio number 2 by Arvind.
I like the names. I think most of them point to a natural purpose or a reason to be developed. I like the phrases, rate the food, what's your thing. I think you're hoping someone falls in love with that phrase or decides that they need it. I think there's a certain pedigree of them where they do have some wholesale value. If you said, I just want to, get out of it and move on to something else, you're going to get a bid for a lot of these names in a wholesale marketplace. My favorite was Bedroom Makeover. I like a makeover name because you're providing a service online with advice, but you're naturally channeling it to then product purchases. So you're letting someone play and experience and research online, but then you're also, right there for product purchases. So I thought Bedroom Makeover was my favorite. Internet Meme was interesting. I've not lost a lot of money, but I've invested a lot of money adding the internet on, especially in the first 4 or 5 years I domain, thinking, oh my gosh, internet, and then another word is going to be great. It's just going to sum up everything that has been. Probably wasn't as successful reselling those names, but I think it's certainly a great name. I mean, it's a great prefix for any name to have internet. And then Grad Fund was interesting. And I think you would probably want to actually maybe go in and do this business. A lot of people now, you can actually sell part of your future income and get money now to invest in a business or something like that, and then you give up some of your future earnings. And so the idea of the cloud funding, grad fund, I thought was a strong name.
Yeah, and likewise, honeymoon funds are big nowadays. There's, I think, the Honey Fund or something like that. So instead of getting gifts, people can actually contribute a portion of your honeymoon. So something like that could be similar. Mike Berkens, what do you think of the list?
I certainly like a number of names on the list, certainly much better than the last list we looked at. The 000.net name is certainly an interesting name.
Do you like that one? Because on first glance, I would have thought it's a .net, 3 zeros. Is that worth anything?
I think, with the Asian market, I think it is. I mean, in the Asian market, I was surprised how much interest I saw get on these five number.coms. I mean, every night, overnight, they get a bunch of offers on them. So, yeah, I think it has a value to it. I don't know what the value is, but it's certainly, worth something for sure. I like footballplayoff.com. I mean, they're, the college, NCAA is starting sort of college playoff for college football playoff this year, or next year actually. So I think that's a name. I know a lot of these how-to names get registered and bought, with eHow, how to fix your car, probably has a value. I like Jiffy Loans, like Rick likes. Lease your domain name. I mean, it's pretty, point on, bang on. I think so it's a good name. My Site Rank, I kind of like. I like Pleasure Principle. I'm not sure exactly why. Random Strangers might be, a neat name for a dating site or a cheating site. Rate the Food, Rate the Trip, even Rent a Wedding Gown, Sync My Drive, What's Your Thing. I like those names as well.
Yeah. Adam, what do you think? Uh-oh. It looks like...
Wake up!
It looks like Adam is frozen. Oh.
Were we that exciting?
All right, hold on. I think that he might have posted a comment. No, that's still Paige Howe. Oh, let's see here.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to try and add him one more time. Okay. Let's keep our fingers crossed. So let's talk, it seems like you guys like this portfolio better because it has brandables and it has some keyword domains as well, like lease your domain name. What kind of values would you put on these if you were selling them in the wholesale market? So, Mike, if you own these and you were selling them to Paige, what do you think a wholesale value would be for triple0.net or Internet Meme or bedroommakeover.com?
Well, some of those he liked, I didn't like, but
okay, then pick some and tell me what you like.
Yeah, I mean, I start, I just, all of us, I think, have a different sort of philosophy on domain acquisitions and sales, and I think we're all over the place. I mean, personally, I'm at a $2,500 minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, I think some of these are like $5,000 names.
Like which ones?
Probably stuff like, how to fix your car, lease your domain name, pleasure principle, random strangers, rate to food, rate to trip. Probably those. I think rent a wedding gown potentially could be a higher price name because it could actually be a business.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's sort of in a different thing. And I think Jiffy Loans is very brandable. So I think that could be more, in the $10,000 plus. So can Sync My Drive if that's not a trademarky kind of thing.
Okay.
It's kind of very, and even What You're Saying could be $10,000 or more.
But probably not wholesale though, right, Mike?
Well, I don't sell wholesale to my knowledge. It's all retail, so I don't know about wholesale.
Okay. Paige, what do you think about wholesale? What would these values be if Arvin Reddy just wanted to move a couple of domain names on his portfolio and he wanted to sell it on, say, dnforum.com? We'll come to you next, Adam. What do you think a good wholesale value for some of these names are?
Well, I think the ones that are probably worth $5,000 to $20,000 retail, then you're looking at 10% of that, so $500 to $2,000, and then you throw out the fact that people can buy a bunch of stuff, so you cut that in half, so now you're $250 to $1,000. So I think the wholesale market, you're competing against every other possible domain that can be purchased today. So you're hoping that someone's got some interest in one of those names. And so I think that we do have a big spread between wholesale and retail. So I think wholesale is probably in the hundreds for most of these, and you're hoping someone really, really, really likes it or has had experience with a customer or an industry where he knows that people buy in this industry. And so that would be my comment.
Okay. Adam, looking at this portfolio list that starts with 000.net from Arvin Reddy, we lost you for a moment there. Do you like any of these domain names, and what values do you think they have?
Okay. I have the opposite view as to my first portfolio analysis. I actually really like this portfolio, and I'll go through some of the names quickly. 000.net, it gets 15K Esterbot appraisal, which just proves you really can't trust Esterbot. I like Bedroom Makeover. It's good for an interior decorator site. Chocobits is good. Brandable needs marketing. One of my favorites is dumbitdown.com because I think it's great for an information site on technology. Experts Corner is good because it's brandable, needs marketing. Pete Sucker is good for the New York Giants head coach, Rex Ryan, because he's got a foot fetish.
There you go.
Grad Fund, school raising dollars for grads is always good. The Hard on the Job, I really can't get a domain that has hard on in it, so forget that one. This beauty one is really, I think it's good for a health site because health really is beauty. How to Fix Your Car, I think, could be a really good information site, and it's got huge possibilities for everything that you could possibly do about fixing a car. Internet Meme I like because memes are super popular, and I really like them. Just Chocolates, brandable, needs marketing. Mm-hmm. Lease Your Domain Name is a good category killer for our industry. Live the Moment, it's a good site. I don't know whether you want to work on a bucket list or something else, but Enjoy the Moment is really good. Pleasure Principle, that's a Freudian technology. And it's interesting. It's about seeking pleasure and avoiding pain in order to satisfy biological and psychological needs. So you could do a Freud site on that one. The Rate the Food, Rate the Trip, and Rent a Wedding Gown, those are all decent names. Sync My Drive, I thought that'd be good for a cloud backup service. The Trips to Antarctica, Trips to Russia is not bad. And this one, what every woman wants, I think it's a credit card, but I mean, if you can figure this one out, you'll be a millionaire.
All right, what about some values? Do you what would you price these at if you were pricing them retail?
I think bedroom makeover, you could probably get $5K for it. Dumb it down to the right person. I mean, I'd be interested in it. I think Esteban puts it at 1.4K, and I'd be willing to buy it at that. Internet mem, probably about a couple thousand. Lease your domain name, that's got good value in it. Could be anything from 5 to 15 because lease your domain name is where everyone's heading. And then that's about
So
it.
you
But,
said,
I mean, a lot of
hey Adam, you said leaseyourdomainname.com was a category defining. Wouldn't you say that category defining is actually domain name lease or domain name leasing.com? And this is more of a brandable?
I don't know, because I think people are going to type lease your domain name into the search engine or lease my domain name, and I think people are going to look for it. So I think it's got some pretty good value, and you could easily build a brand around it, especially in our industry.
Okay. And
Yeah, the my and the your is interesting, where you say you want to be my something, or because you put yourself in the customer's point of view, or you offering a service where someone can lease their their thing. And so I think it really comes down to the specific name. But I've gone back and forth on the my versus your before. It's kind of interesting.
Hey Adam, would you mind muting your microphone when other people are talking? We're getting a little bit of feedback. Okay, and any trademark issues on any of these domain names that you guys see, or does it look like a pretty clean portfolio?
This Autonautics name, I did a quick Google on it. It might be an issue. Other than that, I didn't really see anything.
What do you think, Rick?
I just looked up Jiffy Loans, and it doesn't seem to be any kind of a trademark issue.
All right. All right, Adam, you just mentioned a minute ago that you liked Bedroom Makeover. Appraised value in Esteban looks to be 1.2 or $1,200. Do you like that one enough to make a binding offer on it on the video in case the owner wants to sell it?
Yeah, I mean, I could offer $1,000 for it. I'm more interested in Dumb It Down, to be honest.
Oh,
with you.
Dumb It Down. That was the one that you said was $1,400. You're right. So what would you like to offer on that one?
$1,500.
$1,500.
So let's stick with Dumb It Down at $1,500 is my
All
offer.
right. So Arvind, if you're listening, you got a response back from me via email. Let's say that this offer is good until the end of the week, Adam. If your contact information is adam@dcg.com. He can just email you directly.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Just so you know, the name is for sale on Sea-Doo for $5,500.
All right. Good to know, Mike.
And he should also contact me because there may be a lot of other names on here I'd be interested in.
Cool. All right. Anybody else like any names enough to make an offer?
Nope.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to move on to Section 2, pending deletes. This week, we're going to look at the NameJet 50 most active pending delete back orders. I want to point out that these are just the 50 names that NameJet emailed me this morning at 10 a.m. Pacific. I don't know if it's all the names that have bids or how they determine it. If you want to be a part of the auction of any of the domains names that we're discussing, you need to get your $69 bid in by 9 a.m. Pacific today, Thursday, the day that we air this show, except for the .tvs, which can take bids up to 11 p.m. And the way NameJet works is if you get your minimum bid in, then they close the auction for those that have a minimum bid in, and then the auctions commence, I think, 2 or 3 days later. Is that right, guys?
They start right away and they end 3 days later.
Okay, there we go. This domain portfolio starts with 79u.com and includes some interesting domains, including tv.org. Mike Berkens, you talked about this on your domain name blog this morning, so let's start with you.
Yeah, I don't. There's a question of whether or not that name's actually going to drop. On some of the registries in recent years, VeriSign for .tvs has taken a position that they're going to take back like one-letter .tv domains that dropped. So G.tv, which dropped 6 months or more ago, they actually wound up taking it back at the registry level. So there's some opinions that that Per will wind up taking this name back and it actually won't drop. I've written to them. I haven't gotten a response yet. as to what may not happen. Obviously, TV.org is a really really good name, and
Yeah, what
it
do you
has
think that one would sell for if it did go to a namejet auction?
I mean, I think I think it could sell for certainly 25-ish, 25 to 50. I would say not much higher than 50. There was a bunch of single-letter.orgs that were for sale on Namejet and GoDaddy not that long ago, and I think only 2 got an offer of 50,000 or more. So based on that, I would say somewhere between 25 and 50.
Okay, CBS owns the .com, Microsoft owns the .net. Adam, if the TV.org does go to auction and somebody buys it for 25 to 50, as Mike Berkens projects that it might sell for, what would what would an end user use TV.org for, do you think?
Well, it could be anything from a wiki type site that lists every possible show with like an almost internet movie database for TV. I mean, it could show everything from the history of TV to what shows were on when and everything. I mean, it could be a really good site with pictures, tutorials, biographies. It could be everything. And I'm not a firm believer in .org, but this is clearly a good one to get.
All right.
Hey, Mike, I think another thing is that Namejet, their lists have been wrong for a while. They show the orgs one day later than they really are. That name actually dropped this morning. And so all the names, if you go to their system, and like we have some city names that we're bidding on right now, they're going to tell you that you can bid up until a certain time tomorrow, but the auction's already over with. And, there's been a lot of stuff with the Namejet platform. They use this weird cookie way of saving your searches, so you can type in a name and you think it's dropping, but they don't show it, and you have to type it in a different way. And so there's a lot of quirks there. And so I think on the orgs, we just stopped using them because they're a day late. They're just wrong. So I think that's another thing with the TV.org is if you would have seen it on this list, I think if you go to the Snap Names or the other players, they won't have it on their list for what's dropping because it dropped this morning.
Well, I mean, the name itself was registered or is registered at Moniker, so theoretically the name should be dropping sort of exclusively to Snap Names. Like a Network Solutions name would drop exclusively to Namejet. So
yeah, that would have been 40 days ago, right, Michael?
Right.
And I can't believe it would ever make it through Snap Names. I can't believe it would ever make it through Snap Names with no bids.
Right, so the preferred auction partner of Moniker is Snap Names, and it would go to Snap Names, and most likely somebody would put in a bid, or it would go to auction in Snap Names. It wouldn't even go to the point where you're drop catching and using Namejet as just a regular drop catcher to catch the name.
Right. There's certain registrars that are dedicated to Snap. There's certain registrars that are dedicated to Namejet, and then of course GoDaddy has its own in-house auction. Once a name sort of goes through that cycle without a bid, then it would become sort of a free drop name, along with any the unaffiliated registrars that can be caught anywhere, even theoretically just hand registered.
All right, what else do you guys like? Rick, what other names do you like on this drop list that you might consider putting a bid in on?
Well, there's only one that actually I like on the list at all, which is noslip.com, if I read that right. Noslip.com.
Yep.
That could be a pretty
I like that one. You didn't like WiFiBabyMonitor.com enough to put a bid in on that one?
Oh, I guess that was the one that I thought was on the other portfolio, the Wi-Fi Baby Monitor, exactly.
Okay. All right, Paige, what else? I know you're putting bids on multiple domains here, Paige.
No, I don't think there was a thing in the old Seinfeld show where Elaine had these birth control sponges, and she had to decide if her boyfriend was sponge-worthy. So we have to decide if a name is Namejet-worthy. Is it even worth $69? And I think a couple barely approach it, maybe More Media, Register, and then Dead Cat Bounce, which is a stock market term for a stock that can't go any lower, so it just comes up a little bit. But again, I think even on those three, I would be hoping that no one else bid on them, and we could at least cut our acquisition cost by 90% and just get them for reg fee or something like that. No Slip, I think, would get bids, and I'd have to decide if I wanted to be in on that. But so the three that I thought were okay. But again, we've got 8 or 9 better for today that we're hoping no one else bids on, so we can get them for reg fee.
All right. Anybody like angermanagementcounseling.com?
I like anger management counseling. The only problem is, and I'm glad you brought it up, is counseling is one of the hardest words to spell with counseling or counselors, because counselor could mean a grievance counselor or a grief counselor, and it could also mean a counselor like a lawyer, and it's also spelled differently in the UK and Canada than it is in the US. So you got to be really careful with counseling and counselor names. That's the US spelling, and we spell it with 2 L's instead of 1.
All right.
Yep.
Anybody like the survival.com typo, or is that just a waste of reg fees?
I don't like it.
No.
Michael?
If you like your drop names with a lawsuit, there's a couple of nice ones here. Toys R Us.
There are. Which two do you see, Mike?
The Toys R Us is great. Of course, the Twitter Brazil one and the www Dell. Nothing wrong with that one.
Yeah, we're getting a little reverb there, Adam. That was www.dell.com, which is just missing the period before the Dell. The Toys R Us, all spelled out A-R-E, and the third one you said was Twitter Brazil, I think. Any other typos now those are clear trademark issues. Like, there is only one Toys R Us in the world. It is hard to register a domain name and have a different intent. Unlike last week where we talked about Jeopardy.tv. Rick, you said you'd stay away from the Jeopardy. Jeopardy's a dictionary definition. You know, you could create some sort of business around some sort of hazard, some sort of...
Well, listen, if it was Jeopardy.com, I can buy that argument. But Jeopardy TV, that one's a little bit too close to, hey, it's a coin toss, but I think you could end up easily on the short end of the stick. And I think, you know what, sometimes it's just, if you just ask the common man, do you think that this is stepping on someone else's toes? Mm-hmm. Like I said, Jeopardy.com, because you can do many different things with it. But Jeopardy TV, it's synonymous with a game show that's been on TV for 50 years, and I don't think it passes the smell test, to be honest with you.
All right, good point.
But what's the other side of this? So here's what everyone's probably thinking out there, because we've talked to guys in the domain business. If I go get www.dell.com, it's only going to cost me $69, and if I could just make like $50 a month for 2 or 3 months, maybe they'll still call me up before they sue me, and they'll offer me $2,000, so I should still go for it. I think that mentality is still out there, that I'd rather have something that maybe someone's going to offer me money for, and they just throw all the rest of the risk to the wind.
They never offer money on domains like that. Never happened in the 18 years I've been in this, not one single time.
I think the thought more is that they can monetize that name for a certain amount of time before they get the C&D and then just give the name up. So if they can monetize it and make a few hundred or a few $1,000s, by the time they get the C&D,
you don't get a C&D anymore. They don't give you a C&D. You get a whiteboard before you get a C&D these days. Why would anyone send a C&D?
Sometimes you get a federal lawsuit. That's the risk you take.
Yeah.
That's $100,000, right? So it's rolling the dice.
And that is the true definition of a cyber squatter.
Absolutely. Stay away from that crap. If it has a company name in it, you better think really hard. It better be very common and not synonymous, or you're going to look bad.
Hey, Rick, last week you said, I would take the domain name and I would type it into Google and I would see if there's any advertisers on it. That's my true test. Criminal-law.org. You type that in, you see a lot of advertisers. You see people paying a lot of money. Do you like it?
Well, I'm not big on dashes, but when you start getting into any area where it's really crowded, well, then you're going to have to make sacrifices, and maybe the keywords are more important than the dashes. So there are a lot of industries where really, if you can get a crowbar in with any of those keywords, you should get it.
I think it has too much new GTLD risk to it. There's too many new GTLDs in that vertical coming out, personally, for me.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of probably better options than criminal-law.org in the new GTLDs that you'll be able to get for reg fee. Is that what you mean, Mike?
Well, I don't know if you get a reg fee, but I think, there's definitely going to be a .law, .lawyer, .attorney, .esquire, .legal. There's just going to be a lot of, there's going to be a lot of options in that vertical. So if you're looking to resell it, I mean, it's obviously criminal-law.org, unless, it's built out with some really good content, unique, and gets ranked in Google, it's not going to make any money whatsoever. So then it becomes a resale opportunity. And I think, criminal-law.attorney, I mean, there'll be a lot of different options. I'm not really sure that, that's sort of worth the money.
All right.
One more thing on the trademarky thing, and I've seen some more UDRP cases on actual themes or places. I wrote about, I think, Paris Opera this week. I'm looking at this Mumbai Cricket Club. If there was, in fact, in India, a Mumbai Cricket Club, and you acquired that name, there's definitely a UDRP chance, even if there's no trademark necessarily on it. Could be a common law trademark. If there's actually something that exists that's called the Mumbai Cricket Club.
All right. We're over our 30 minutes, so I don't know what to say. We're just, it's good stuff, and we're continuing to go, but we're going to the lightning round. First up is registered or available. Last week, Adam Dicker went 3 for 3 in the lightning round. He ended up as the champion. I don't think anybody else went 3 for 3. Is that correct? All right, so we've got
No, that's correct. I can confirm that.
All right, so we've got Adam, we've got Mike, we've got Paige, we've got Rick. We're going to record how many go this week. We'll see how it works. So lightning round, here's how it works. I'm going to name 3 domain names without looking it up, gentlemen. Tell me if you think it's registered or available. In honor of this week's Domain Sherpa show with Steve Newman talking about his launch of sportspicks.com, a betting advice service website, the domain is bettorsanonymous.com. BETTORS anonymous.com. Adam, what do you think? Registered or available?
Available.
Mike, what do you think? Registered or available?
I'll forget if I can spell it. Available.
Paige, what do you think? Registered or available?
If it's with O and betters, it's available.
You didn't look it up, did you?
No, if you said BETTORS, I'll say available.
Okay, Rick, what do you think? Available or taken?
Well, now, I don't know, you kind of gave him a tip while you didn't look it up, so now I should say it's available, but I want to kind of go against the grain because everyone else said it's available.
That killed me last week, Rick.
I can get a 1-point lead right away if
you
I
could.
go against
So you're going with taken.
So while I think you gave a tip off that it's available, I have to go with it's taken just to get the 1-point lead.
Yes, I should not play poker because it is available, and the .org is taken, by the way, but the .com is available. So we've got 3 people that are leading the list here. Next up, last week there was a lot of news about the domain name security issues that popped up in the Syrian Electronic Army. They brought down the New York Times website. They had some issues with the Marine Corps' recruitment website on Labor Day. So the domain name is SyrianElectronicArmy.org. Registered or available? Rick, what do you think?
Taken.
Taken. Paige, what do you think?
Taken.
Taken. Mike, what do you think?
I think it's taken.
Taken. Adam, what do you think?
Looking at your face, I'm going to go with taken.
Taken. And everybody is incorrect. It is available. The .com is taken by the Syrian Electronic Army.
Damn, I saw it in your face. Jeez. But I figured I couldn't lose a point if I went with everybody.
All right. Everybody loves hyphens here on the panel. So with that in mind, I looked up SEO-services-company-india.com. So we've got 3 hyphens and 4 words. Registered or available? Mike Berkens.
I'll go with registered.
Paige Howe.
Registered.
Adam Dicker.
Registered.
And Rick, what do you think?
Can we do a double down registered so I can catch up?
No. What do you think? Registered. Okay. And it is registered. And it's for sale on flippa.com with a It has not hit the reserve, and you can buy it now for $2,000 if you really like hyphenated domain names that much. So we've got, let's see here.
Is it a hyphen or a dash?
It's the same thing, buddy. It's not an M dash, it's an N dash.
Mike, by default, I'm now at 5-0, so tiebreak goes to. We'll have to have a tiebreak question. Or,
yes, let me think about a tiebreaker question. Okay, so let's see here.
You can say you've never been beaten, Adam.
All right, I want to go around the room. We're gonna do an after the show session here. What do you guys want to talk about after the show? Give me one topic.
I want to talk about that people should be sticking to niches they either know or that they want to learn.
All right, Adam wants to talk about niches. Mike, what do you want to talk about in the after show?
This is I don't know.
Okay, you're going to contribute. Paige, you got anything you want to bring up?
Marketplaces. We need better marketplaces.
We have enough. It seems like they're...
We need better.
All right, I'm going to ask you why. Rick, what do you think?
Can we talk about women or something? I don't know.
We can talk about women. I want to ask you about traffic and domains that are due tomorrow, Friday of this week. Okay, 30 seconds apiece. Anything that you guys want to promote that's going on this week in your lives, in your business, in your... What else is there?
Adam's first.
Adam, you're up.
Okay, basically, I did that interview with Jeremy Shoemaker the other day, and he runs that site called Shoe Money, and I thought that's a pretty good name. I thought maybe he took the 4 letters of his first name. Maybe I should do the same thing, but I thought nobody would like to use Dick Money because, well, it doesn't sound so good. It sounds like a hooker. Anyway, the only thing that I really want to promote is the fact that I'm busy doing about 1,100 sites a month for niche websites. We're getting people on page 1 or page 2 of Google, Yahoo, and Bing. And we're having great success with our online and offline marketing. If anybody's interested, send me an email, add me to Skype, add me to LinkedIn like usual. And if you just have questions and you want me to help you out with something, I've taken 3 calls today. I didn't charge anybody anything, and I'm here to give you free advice if you want it. So it's adam.dicker on Skype, adam@bcg.com, or you'll find me on Facebook.
$5 says somebody registers dickmoney.com by next week.
That doesn't mean it's going to be worth anything.
Because the available domain names that we talked about last week on the show aren't...
I don't think it's available.
It may not be. Well,
this could be worse. This could be
There's
worse.
our tiebreaker. There's our tiebreaker.
The available names we talked about last week have been taken, and I wonder if this week's are going to be taken as well. I'm going to have a running total on DomainSherpa to see if people register them. Mike, anything you want to talk about? Parting words?
Yeah, actually, I'm using Flippa for the first time. I have a name, internet.biz, for sale. I think the auction closes on Friday. And there's high bids, $8,000. I think there's 10 bidders right now. I've never used Flippa to try to sell a name. Doing it based off of, Zuckerberg buying internet.org and maybe getting some hype off of that. So we'll see how that goes. It's interesting. It's sort of a new experience. I've never really played with the platform. I definitely have some thoughts. I'll probably wind up writing about it after the auction.
Cool. And I want to ask you about that in the after show because I think you got an offer for much more than $8,000. So I want to figure out how you're actually working that. Paige, how you what would you like to promote?
Follow me on Twitter at Joe Domains, and you'll find out about some of the new stuff we're doing.
You do tweet on Joe Domains?
Yes.
All right, buddy. I've got a link to your Twitter down below. I want to see some regular posts there. Rick, what would you like to promote?
Well, first of all, I'm just in the process of registering Dick Money. Okay, so I am the new owner of Dick Money. Let's start there. I just love that. I think it's great.
That's not surprising. Not surprising at all.
Well, I do own Dick.com, so okay. Anyway, I'm really kind of surprised it wasn't registered with the adults, but the only thing I'd like to promote at this segment is the hallofshame.com that I put online the other day, and a gentleman by the name of Troy was nice enough to help me with my HTML skills, which are 0, and sent me an updated site yesterday. I want to thank him a lot. And I got to actually put a little link to him so people can find him. But Hall of Shame went online yesterday morning or the night before, a couple nights ago. whoops. And yes, hello. And anyway, it lists all of the reverse domain name hijackers with a little bit of commentary from me so we can stick it to them. And look, I look at reverse domain hijacking as an opportunity to educate people and to have them understand the value and then actually do business the right way. So I hope people look at hallofshame.com and do some Twitter and likes on it from my blog post, and that would be great. Thanks so much.
All right. And as Rick mentioned on his blog last Friday, I think it was, we completed last week's show, and then we sat around and discussed domain name issues for about 15 minutes. I wished I had recorded it after we went through that time. So today we're going to have an after show real fast. We're going to talk about niches, marketplaces, traffic, internet biz sale on flippa.com, maybe a little Hall of Shame. So stick around. There's going to be a video just under this one. Finally, if you receive benefit out of this show, thank the Sherpas, please. You can go down below, post a comment. Everybody was very kind last week in providing feedback and as well as just thanking the Sherpas for their time. This is our second Domain Sherpa review. If you can think of a way to improve the format or the content, please do post a comment or send me an email if you're shy to michael@DomainSherpa.com. Thanks to Mike Wealth and Arvind Reddy for submitting their portfolios for review today. And thank you to all of our Domain Sherpas for coming on the show, sharing their experience and insights, and giving back to the community. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Goodbye.